Who's ready for some summertime dinosaur destruction? Jurassic World Dominion is stampeding into theaters this weekend, but is it worth checking out? 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, dinosaurs now live and hunt alongside humans all over the world. This fragile balance will reshape the future and determine once and for all whether human beings are to remain the apex predators on a planet they now share with history's most fearsome creatures. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are back, and as we've seen from the trailers, this installment of the Dino Dynasty, it brings back Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. There are also the supporting performances from Isabella Sermon, DeWanda Wise, Mamoudou Athie, Omar Sy, and Campbell Scott. Now, at the very beginning of the film, we get a massive exposition dump to set up the world and the story for us. Now, it's meant to be a refresher from what happened in the last movie, but also share with us all that has happened in the time since then. This helps to establish a lot of the context in a short period of time through the voiceover. Now, this is effective, but also a sort of lackluster intro into the film. But after that, we then get some excitement that even harkens back a bit to the original Jurassic Park. Now, dinosaurs are all over the world at this point, and so humans are trying to figure out how to coexist with them. But also, as it seems is inevitable every single time, corporate greed is a prominent fixture, trying to capitalize on the dinosaurs and their DNA, all under the guise of helping humanity. I mean, it's not complex, but it works as an impetus for a large-scale antagonist. There's a lot going on in this story. There's a family drama that plays out between Pratt, Howard, and Salmon as they try to figure out just how to function while keeping Maisie and her specialness safe. There's also an environmental angle that pulls in Laura Dern and then Sam Neill. And what I find most oddly funny in this film is that for a movie about dinosaurs and surrounding dinosaurs, surprisingly, the central story, it's not about dinosaurs. While it is a little odd, it still works within the story, or at least it provides a good narrative for us to follow, and then provides a rational impetus for why our characters are on their quest to do what they're doing. But that being said, the story feels a bit disjointed as it's trying to take several different angles and have them converge into one main arc. Now, they do come together, but there's a lot of plot protection to do so, especially when it comes to the plausibility and the rationale to get all of these to work. But I mean, I guess if you don't focus on the shortcomings or the messiness of some of the story elements, you can then be drawn in by the action and the excitement. And there's a lot of great action within this. There are a bunch of fun, and there are enough of them to maintain the excitement level. But one thing that's lacking, though, is some of the quieter moments that allow the tension to be built within a scene. And it's hard to not compare it to the original, where we have these wonderful slower sequences that are quieter, where the tension just builds and it builds to almost this breaking point. Then when we have a sequence of action, it's palpable and explosive, which makes it a lot of fun to cycle through a bunch of different emotions. And because there weren't many of the uber tense and quieter moments, when the action lulls, many times I was just longing to get back to the action. The cinematography and chase sequences is immersive, frenetic, and just all out crazy. I mean, the camera will swing around to give us different perspectives, but it also will stay on a subject long enough to get a good sense of what's going on. And it's not a massive series of quick cuts spliced together, even though there are scenes that do employ quick cuts in the editing. Now, the dinosaurs are pretty cool, and the special effects continue to look great. I mean, there are new species of dinos that we get to see, and I really appreciated the variety that's now included in the story. Not all of them are utilized in action sequences, but there are some in here that I would have just noped out of at first sight because they are freaky and dangerous looking. I do wish, though, that we have gotten to see some more epic fights with the dinosaurs. I mean, as expected, we're always going to have this showdown of sorts between the biggies and the baddies. And this one, though, it could have been pretty cool, but it ended fairly quickly, which made it a little lackluster. We get the beginning of a fight that looks like it's going to be epic and very, very exciting. And some of it is, but it's cut prematurely. Think about when we watch Godzilla vs. Kong. We want the fight between the titans, and that's what I really wanted here. There was a missed opportunity to draw it out more and create a massive spectacle with the Dino Showdown. But instead, it's wham bam, thank you ma'am, and it's over way too soon. Now, despite some of these negatives, I think audiences are going to have a lot of fun with this, especially because of the action and the way that they play the nostalgia up. I mean, it's done really well. The movie mixes the new Jurassic World era of Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard within the original era with Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. And the two worlds mesh pretty well, and they come together in a natural way where they don't feel forced. But honestly, I do wish that we would have had more time with them together to explore a little bit more of their dynamic. Something I really appreciate is how many nods to Steven Spielberg and his movies are contained within this. I mean, most obvious are all the subtle callbacks to the original Jurassic Park, to which, this owes all of the credit for even being able to exist. But then there are other inclusions from his films like Jaws and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. None of these are so in our faces that it's obnoxious, but as a fan of Spielberg's work, I found these to be fun and appropriate. The musical score is great as it forges its own new path, but also pays a ton of homage to the original Jurassic Park score. John Williams' theme can be heard playing subtly through many sequences, and then it's incorporated in more prominent ways as iconic scenes or character moments come into play. Now, you need to know that this is a long movie at just under 2.5 hours. Now, I didn't really feel the time too much because of all the action that's sprinkled throughout, but when the action lulls, the time can become noticeable. So overall, Jurassic World Dominion is an ambitious and energetic story that thrives when it's diving headlong into the action. The story is a bit messy, but we can be convinced to overlook some of that as we're wowed by all of the new dinos that are brought to the screen. I would have liked to have some more portions of the story that embrace tension just by creating quieter spaces where the characters experience some building dread. The fast-paced storytelling allows for excitement and danger, but the feeling of impending peril is never really achieved. The cast works well, and I enjoyed the mixture of the franchise characters. I'd be hard-pressed to want to pay full price, though, for my whole family to go and see this, but watching it at matinee prices would allow me to enjoy it, knowing that I was getting my money's worth of entertainment. There's no sex or nudity, but there is a little bit of profanity, and of course, a bunch of violence. And dino violence, too. I give Jurassic World Dominion 3 out of 5 couches. So which of the Jurassic movies in the franchise is your favorite? Mine is still the original, but I do have fun with some of the others. Let me know your favorite, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.